This is a cold open, but in fact, it's been much colder outside.
So cold that there's been a remix going around of the NENC carol, Baby, It's More Outside.
Now that's fake news.
The best coverage of high school and college athletics in Northeast North Carolina begins now. This is NENC Sports Radio Show on WRVS 89.9.
Oh, we're just trying to melt all the ice and snow away. Let it go away so we can bring you the 21st episode of the third season of Northeastern North Carolina's top sports show. Malcolm Shield, sports writer for the Daily Advance, is here, and I'm Advance sports editor Owen Hassel. We're here thanks to WRVS 89.9 FM, who produces the show. It's WRVS, and it's your
community voice.
Pasquotank Northeastern basketball this Friday at the Vaughn Center on the campus of Elizabeth City State. For more on it, we bring in Pasquotank boys basketball coach Michael Barlow. Coach, what to do? 3 straight days off. What do you do?
It's been more than 3 straight days off, but
for the weekend.
Yeah. I mean, you just try to find some normalcy, getting back in the gym with the kids and start going, back to the grind of everyday basketball. The kids were very, very rusty today in practice, but it was kind of expected, to be honest.
Yeah. We'll definitely talk more to with Coach Barlow here. But first, more on Northeastern North Carolina sports. Follow us on Twitter. Also use the hashtag NENC Sports to keep the discussion rolling. You can follow us at NENC Sports. Then for me, I'm at ONOBX. Malcolm?
I'm at Malcolm_Shields.
Coach?
At P-Tank B-Ball.
And there's more ways to stay involved with sports in Northeastern North Carolina in the form of a blog. Go to nencsports.wordpress.com for tidbits that aren't always in the Daily Advance, plus interviews and video from various Northeastern North Carolina games. Finally, getting back into some sports, some daily game grind, and we'll preview it after this.
WRVS 89.9 provides training for all students and volunteers interested in radio broadcasting. But without your donations, this radio station will go silent. Let's make a sound today. Now is a great time to give back to public radio. Make a tax-deductible donation by calling 252-335-3985 or online at www.ecsu.edu/WRVS.
I'm talking to you. See you standing over there with your body.
That's my new favorite artist, Malcolm.
Yeah.
I didn't mind. I told people on Twitter the other day, Ariana Grande is a great singer. Don't at me. I'm telling you. That's all I'm telling you right now.
Talented.
Very talented. Barlow, don't look at me like that.
Did you really say that on Twitter?
Don't look at me like that. Yeah, put it out there.
All right, I need to go back and start looking at your Twitter.
Okay. Why would I come on the show and say that and then it's not there?
I don't know.
Am I going to delete it now?
You should.
I'm not deleting it.
You should.
I'm not deleting it.
Okay.
I'm not ashamed. A little more football to bring up, because I know people still want to talk about football. It's still lingering. We still got NFL playoff, great national championship game with Alabama Clemson. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Tigers came back and finally someone knocked off Alabama.
And somebody's buying a new TV. If we've seen that viral video with the Alabama fan, you're not. Well, he's using the blanky blank in the score, and then boom.
Yeah.
And I look at that and I go, man, that's dumb. Why would you do that? And I think to myself during my more rabid North Carolina fandom days, I never broke a TV. Of course, we had the bigger TVs then. You couldn't just easily punch it. But sometimes I got close. So I didn't want to laugh too much at the guy.
Yeah. Usually with me, his cell phone took the beating when one of my teams lost. So.
Right. That's why you got the Windows 1 phone right now. Yeah.
One of 5 people in the world.
Right. That's why Malcolm doesn't do Snapchat at games, because no Snapchat on the Windows 1.
Yes.
Zach Morris phone you got going on there. All right, well, back to the high school football grind. A few more honors for Northeastern North Carolina athletes for the first time in at least 15 years. Trying to figure out when exactly this had happened. I'm thinking it was late 90s. So, yeah, at least 15, 16, 17, 18 years. A player from the Northeast corner made the Associated Press All-State team. Northeastern's Travion Freshwater. Mr. So Freshwater, So Clean tabbed on the defensive line. Just a sophomore, already has interest from Duke, UNC, NC State, East Carolina, Old Dominion, South Carolina, and maybe Clemson and Alabama.
Wow.
I mean, it's there. It's possible.
That's
and he's just a sophomore. We're talking big stuff in the corner with this kid. He's a big kid.
Yes, he is.
6'1", 210, 220, I think, right now.
Plays way bigger than that.
He plays way bigger than that.
Yeah, way bigger.
I'm going by statistics that I had seen on the roster. He probably did grow like another 3 inches in the last few months. So I could definitely be off on that because, he does look bigger. But the reason why the All-State team that's big, they select it from 1A to 4A. This isn't like a 1A team or 2A. This is 1A through 4A, and he's on the list. So again, just a tremendous honor. Also, he was on the NCPreps.com 2A All-State team alongside Eatonton running back Keeman Bailey. Of course, we know about what Bailey did this year, a big part of the Aces run to the 2A state championship game. Bailey was also put on the Max Preps All-American Small School second team. And the small school, I think we figured this out, Malcolm, 1,000.
1,000 and less, yep.
So we're basically saying 1A and 2A schools, maybe some 3A if you want to get real technical with it. Throughout the country, of course. Helps when you run 2,800 plus yards. In the year that he had, he was also, of course, the Daily Advance Area Player of the Year. So just some big honors. And we were talking some during the break, Coach Barlow, about Bailey and why maybe he didn't get on the All-State team. I was kind of throwing back the idea of 4A schools with some of their running backs who are being looked at heavy interest by those same schools we mentioned for freshwater and will very likely go to one of those. Hard to overlook that. But I want to throw a question out here that William Rankins, he's a noted Eatonton superfan. He emails Malcolm and I a lot. This is what he asked us. The fans would like to know, and I think it's just him, but probably more Eatonton fans for sure. Do you have any idea why Bailey hasn't had any Division I or D1 AA, which of course now FCS, offers yet? Guys?
I think he's just kind of, burst onto the scene. I mean, as a sophomore, he had over 1,000 yards, but he just didn't have that monster year that he had this past year. So you got to think now that, he's had these monster numbers and helped Eatonton get to the state championship game. A lot of more schools are going to start looking at the young man. Yeah,
it never hurts when you get to play on that big stage and people are seeing what you did. And you get on a few of these other lists, it never hurts. You've seen Bailey play, obviously, on your own field.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that kind of hit what Malcolm said. He kind of just burst or was thrust into the scene and had a phenomenal year this year. I think the other thing, when you look at him, he's just not, physically imposing. He's one of the traditional scat backs. He's a small kid, finds a hole, picks a hole, and goes through it. He's not going to bruise you to death, as some of the other guys in our conference do. But, he's so young. I mean, the future's kind of bright for him, and he'll get way more attention from schools, and it'll pick up. I mean, it'll pick up now, to be honest. So, and throughout the spring football season as well here.
Yeah, he's got an example to look up to. Tariq Cohen, I believe, plays A&T. Smaller kid, but speed.
Yeah.
I don't know if Bailey has that speed. I don't know if he has that gear. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you're safe to say that he doesn't have that gear, but talking to Coach Hoggett, he's always said that he has those instincts and the vision that kind of makes up for that.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about it. I mean, anyone can just say, "Well, you don't have the size."
Well, I mean,
you can dismiss that, but then the kid sees these examples, and you can make it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a couple of things he does really well. I mean, he's got a really good jump cut, and that some high school kids will never ever have. He's got that already. I mean, there's some college kids that have that do it really, really well. He has the ability to make an explosive play out of nothing. So, and there are very few high school kids that can do that. And it's just, honestly, they just find a way to make him get as many touches as they possibly can. So obviously the stats are going to be so much greater. But I mean, when you have a kid that is that good, I mean, why wouldn't you go to that well that many times?
Yeah, and they're going to go back to that well next year.
Yeah.
Especially at the 1A level. You're going to have him, Ajonte Stanley. I think Stanley will have, Contreras Cost. He'll likely be the quarterback we're looking at there. You're looking at Stanley's 1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah.
Bailey, he might not have to go to 2,800 yards next year. He might be held out of some games next year because of the conference they're in, which means he won't get those yards. He'll be just as effective, but I'm going to have him, if we do an over-under thing, let's say 2,500, I'm going to go just a touch under just because of the conference.
Right.
But if they make a long run in the state playoffs,
it's possible,
and play Tarboro, because we've almost got pegged Tarboro Eatonton in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Third round or fourth.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, East Carteret might have something to say about it. Yeah, that's about it.
I mean, look at the non-conference schedule they got, though. That's one thing. I mean, he's going to start a season with, games probably 3 or 4 in a row that are 200 to 300 yards easy. So, he'll be at the same point he was this year through 4 games to be at 1,000 yards again. So, I mean, he's got a chance.
Depends on what he does early on.
He's got a very good chance.
If he can do some of those things early on, he can be right there.
Yeah.
It's just when you play Manio, Gates, these teams, if Eatonton gets up to a huge lead, you don't want to risk an injury.
Right.
We know he got hurt this year because he could have had 3,000.
Yeah.
You were at the game.
Yeah, South Columbus, they weren't stopping nobody. So,
again, just an overall great year. It goes in line. Well, actually, I need to mention other people in the NC Preps 2A team. Freshwater, Bailey, James Thomas Aberti, offensive lineman, Hereford County receiver Jacory Roberson. Obviously, he's going to Wake Forest. Not a bad basketball player either.
Nope. Pretty good athlete.
Yeah. Goes in line with that theme of I call the Northeastern Boastful Conference. The calendar year 2016, how great it's been for the conference and what it's meant to this area where you've had multiple teams get to regional finals or just have long playoff runs. 2 get into state championships, and then First Flight boys soccer winning it all. No one's been able to dispute there was another year better for the conference in 2016. If someone wants to, please email me. I'd love to hear it, but it'd be hard. It'd be hard to argue. This conference has been around for about 16, 17 years, and this 2016 might have been the best. So bringing that to you, Coach, you're seeing the league improve, and I'm saying throughout all sports. So what steps, and you've been the AD at Pasquotank, this is your 3rd year.
It's my 2nd year as AD, 3rd year at Pasquotank. So,
what steps do you think Pasquotank is making to be a part of the conversation, to get right in there?
Well, some of our programs have obviously gone through tremendous, growth. Our wrestling team has started to improve, greatly and kind of get back to where they were when they first were part of the, the school conference when it first opened. Making some changes in our coaching staff and just trying to get better coaches, coaching our kids. Obviously, bringing in Chris McGee to coach our football team is giving us somebody that's a little bit more, seated into the community, can get the kids to come out and kind of continue to grow our football team. And then some of the other sports, we kind of had a drop-off in sports where we hadn't been playing in sports as a whole, and those sports are starting to come back. So we have more kids that participate in sports than ever. I think when I first got to Pasquotank, we only had 186 kids participating in athletics, and now we're in the 270s. So, I mean, we've had, pretty good growth of about, 100 kids, joining and wanting to participate in sports.
Yeah. Well, what is that next step? I mean, you feel like you've got participation up. What's the next move?
Just to be a little bit more successful in the conference and start to win some games at the conference level. And all of our sports teams have started to do that a little bit. It's just being consistent and throughout all of our seasons and not have that drop off because we had a really good senior class. And then, you got to follow with a bunch of sophomores. It's just find a little bit of consistency. And that's really where we're at right now, is just trying to be consistent and make sure our kids are improving every day.
If there's one sport I would think might be hard to have some consistency for at least next year, might be football, losing a lot of players.
Right.
And it started off so well.
Right.
And then the drop off and not making the playoffs and how that goes into the following year. Right. What's going to go into place there with some of these, maybe some young guys that might have to take the reins?
If you were walking our buildings every day, you would see those younger guys are really the ones that are always in the weight room, that are always wanting to look at game film, that are always wanting to improve. Our older guys, which obviously carry the load because they have been there the longest, are fantastic athletes. By all means, they're really good athletes, but they really weren't the grinders because they got year one out of a football coach, as opposed to somebody who's going to be a freshman or a sophomore coming in and get 3 or 4 years with a football coach and really start to build a relationship with them as opposed to 6 months with a football coach. So it's a little bit different and I tell this to my basketball kids all the time. If you're a freshman, you get 4 years with me. If you're a sophomore, 3, junior, 2, seniors, I really don't want seniors. This year, it's unfortunate. I got 9 of them, but I don't want to waste time on kids that aren't really, worried about where we're going as our next step. Do they see what our vision is? And seniors generally don't see that because they're worried about themselves because they have such a small window.
Yeah. 2-7.
2-7.
1-1 in the Northeastern Coastal Conference.
1-1.
You had a tournament in Virginia.
Correct.
A couple close losses.
We took one loss to the buzzer, and we had one that was not so close. It seemed to be an 8-point game the entire game, and we just missed a bunch of shots down the stretch, and it got a little bit further than the 8 points. So,
and I admit I haven't seen you since you played at Camden, but then you turn around and beat Camden at your place. I know Camden a lot of need of the 3-point ball.
They still shot it well the second game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that Mark does really well. He coaches those kids to be in the best position to get their shot. Our kids did a really good job that game running them off the 3-point line, and also still defending the 2-point line, which is what we didn't do against First Flight. So, our kids are improving, but I hate to say it about my seniors. It might be a little bit too late, but we're going to continue to work hard every day.
And we talked about it some during the break, the situation with First Flight. Mm-hmm. And how you've had to handle it with Jamonte. Mm-hmm. A play where he obviously
it was a dirty play.
Good.
It was a dirty play.
Good.
I mean, I can be completely honest with you. It was an elbow to the face that obviously caused some structural damage to Blaze, who's a great kid down in First Flight, works really hard at all the sports that he participates in. And it was pretty unfortunate because he was obviously part of the car accident over the summertime. And missed time from cross country, and then also missed time from basketball. I hate to see any kids, get hurt to where they can't play any sports. And I definitely don't want to see one of my kids cause that injury where another kid couldn't play. And we're dealing with it. We're dealing with it as a program. I can tell you all day how we're going to deal with those kind of situations. And we're really leaving it up to the kid. What's he going to do next? Is he going to come back and change his persona on the court? Is he going to show that he can change? And if he can't, we'll continue to essentially punish him. And that's not anything I ever want to do to any of my kids because I put a lot of time and energy in my kids on and off the court. Anytime you're taking the sport they love away from them, I know it hurts them. But that's just the form of punishment we have as coaches these days is to take away their playing time.
1 game suspension.
Immediate 1 game suspension.
And not a starter.
Not a starter, and then will be suspended again for the First Flight game. So 2 games, and then also will have to work his way back into the start lineup.
Did you ever feel that was any we've heard of another case of this, Coach K dealing with Grayson Allen? The different situations, but it's kind of a...
I mean, the difference is, obviously a coach that has, more than 1,000 wins in basketball and has a McDonald's All-American playing for him, but it's still basketball. And you got to find as a coach, you got to find that way to really make sure the kid is learning the lesson, and then also having integrity in your program, because at the end of the day, my kids are going to graduate and be gone, and I'll have a new group in, but we'll still be labeled as a bunch of thugs. We'll still be labeled as a team that plays really, really rough, and I don't want my kids to have that label because we already have to fight for everything we get anyway. I don't want it to be that we're having to fight to play basketball too, or fight while we're playing basketball.
Northeastern Friday. I know this is being taped Wednesday, and you got another game.
Yeah.
Before that.
Yeah.
So you hate to look ahead and how this week is sort of shaped up, but Northeastern Friday at the Vaughn Center, of course. You've had some close games with them.
Yeah.
There have been a couple right there at the buzzer, couple of situations. What do you see out of this team that's different than last year? Obviously, no Sean Walker, but
what I see out of Northeastern that's different. They share the basketball a lot better. They don't have, a Trey Carver. They don't have a Sean Walker, who are 2 kids that can absolutely at any time take over a basketball game. Who we game plan for in its entirety. Both of those kids, every time we played them, we worried about where they were all the time. Now they share the basketball a little bit more, and they got a couple guys who can step up and shoot. They got some young guys who don't mind getting down and dirty and getting rebounds. and they have a couple guys that can slash. And then they have a really, really good basketball player that played for me last year who knows what we're doing. So it doesn't help, in the strategy or grand scheme of things at all.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're mentioning all that because we're going to have an interview with Mr. Brian Jones later on in the show. But, of course, we let a lot fly on the show. No, we'll let things kind of go as things go. You're not afraid to tell it like it is.
No, I'm not.
That's what we like, even in public. I mean, we appreciate it as journalists, of course, even at times that we've said, no, Barlow, too much. Like, we've told you a couple of times too much.
Yeah, maybe so, but there's no reason to stop because you have the ultimate authority by not writing it.
Right, but we've said stop before you say a few more things. See, we've tried to get ahead of things as best we can. We're trying to save you.
I don't know about save me.
Okay.
I think you're trying to save your ears more than saving me.
Sometimes they can burn. Sometimes they can. So we wanted to get this segment out of the way called No Holds Barlow.
Oh, boy.
I give you a word, a name, any type of phrase. You say what comes to mind first. We're all friends here. It doesn't go any further than the microphones and WRVS and
so
YouTube and all that. Yeah, that's all it goes.
Make sure I get the link so I can send it to everybody tomorrow.
That's all it does. So, are you ready?
Yeah, lay it on me.
Kendrick Parker.
A really good friend of mine and somebody we miss, but didn't think that he was the best fit for our program.
Recruiting.
Happens everywhere. High school, middle school, everywhere.
Is this working like it's supposed to, Malcolm? Should I not told him before the show is what we're going to do?
It is what it is.
Yeah. Edenton's gym floor.
Slick as glass. Needs wax. I mean, I could keep going. Do you want me to keep going?
Hey, we're here all night. Oh, that's it.
Oh, you want me to keep going? I can keep going. Needs a broom. Could use somebody to broom it like every quarter or sweep it every quarter.
Why is Malcolm putting up a white flag?
I mean, I can't not play there on that floor. How about that?
Yeah. Officials in last year's basketball playoffs.
Our playoff game was actually really well officiated, so I was pretty pleased with it.
I thought I saw a tweet that said you were...
That was not my game. That was post watching some other games. I saw some really bad calls last year. I went and watched some 1A basketball and saw an official really put himself out there as being the guy that was on the court that needed the attention. And it cost a team that was playing really well a basketball game because he gave 2 back-to-back technical fouls because he was being a jerk. And then I saw, Northeastern too in the playoffs as well. Because I do support our area, get some bad calls in some games that were tight. And not all our playoff games were tight, but, down the stretch when, kids are getting hammered at the rim, I mean, they're working hard. Why are you not calling it? So.
Janie Cofield.
Janie is a mentor, has been really, really instrumental in making sure I've gotten the job at Pasquotank and has stepped back and really let me spread my wings.
These lamps are getting real hot for you, aren't they?
I like to sweat. I'm a PE teacher, man.
Northeastern.
Probably the worst job I ever had. And at the same time, some of the best kids I've ever worked with. Wasn't in a very good situation because I wasn't coaching. But had a lot of fun there. And I have some really good memories about it and do have still some friends that work there as well. So Northeastern's not a bad place. It just wasn't a good job for me. And that's why it was so easy for me to move on.
Antonio Moore.
Next name.
Ooh.
Next name. That's not anything we want to get started on the radio. I'd rather talk to him.
Pat Payne?
Who is Pat Payne? Ron Payne?
Ron Payne. I was thinking Pat Pay, the former Northeastern coach.
I can talk about Pat Pay too. Pat Pay's a nice guy. So
Pat Pay and then Ron Payne.
Yeah, Ron Payne. Ron served his purpose. He was my principal. Before that, he was an assistant basketball coach with me. So obviously we had history. He gave me my door into Northeastern, which eventually, gave me, the door into where I'm at now. So I can't be so mad at him. And actually, I'm not mad at him at all because to me, he's been, really nice to me. And I'll leave it there.
The daily advance.
Depends on what day of the week it is.
It's daily.
Well, we don't play basketball games on Sunday, so I don't have to worry about being talked about on Monday. But, Saturday sometimes is rough for me because I do read, albeit at the 8th grade level, but right in line with the advance.
Sure.
So.
Fair enough. So that one day on the high note.
Is that all you got? Because that was easy.
Whoa. Do you want to throw out your own term and then go for it?
No, because that would be a little awkward.
Malcolm, you have one?
That would be a little awkward if I started doing that. So if I just, started saying words and then following up.
Back with Barlow after this.
I'm a student athlete, which means I'm still learning.
I'm still growing.
I'm getting important lessons about perseverance, teamwork,
determination, respect, and dedication through playing sports at my school.
Mom, Dad, Coach, in a few years,
I'll probably forget a lot of the details, but I won't forget the lessons I learned.
From the way you act towards my teammates,
coaches, referees, and other fans.
What kind of lesson do you want me to learn? I'm watching.
Sportsmanship, together we make the right call.
This message has been brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association.
Wake up to make up, that's all we do.
Slowing down the pace after the interrogation. Back here on the NENC Sports Radio Show, Malcolm Shields, Owen Hassel, and Pasquotank boys basketball coach and athletic director, Michael Barlow. How about we Shimon now?
Jump on, get on me, all right.
The free throw line is also dubbed the charity stripe. That's a term.
Absolutely.
It's a term for it.
It's
I've heard that term.
Worst term for it right now.
But we've heard it. Like people have, there are a number of people who have made that term.
It should be the gray hair stripe.
I have never heard it called the candy stripe. Have you, Coach?
That's not where I hear candy stripe at. I don't want to go there, but
a certain SID at a college in Elizabeth City does. It was funny at first. Now it's just sad. Candy for charity, sure. A candy stripe for the free throw line, come on now.
Jump on.
Malcolm, the floor is yours.
Well, this week I was able to catch up with Brian Jones, played at Pasquotank last year, now is at Northeastern. So let's catch up with Mr. Jones and myself.
First of all, what's it been like being back here at Northeastern?
It's been a good experience so far. I'm back with my boys. I've been waiting to get back over here. We're having a real fun season this year. Everything we're doing, Coach Nixon having us in shape, teaching us a lot of new things. We're ready to go real far this year with the boys.
All right, how did the guys kind of brought you back after, last year at Pasquotank?
At Pasquotank, I didn't really shoot as much. My confidence kind of went down, but I get back over with my boys. They keep pushing me every day to get better and become the leader that I am. So I'm really loving that. I'm loving the team and everything they're doing for me this year.
All right, what did you learn about yourself at your 1 year at Pasquotank?
I learned that no matter how hard it gets, you can push through and make the best of any situation.
All right, and I guess, initially, why did you feel like you wanted to go to Pasquotank?
It was actually a moving problem. I moved out of district and I had to go over there.
Okay.
But therefore, me and my mom wanted to make the best out of the situation while we could.
Okay, and last year you played in this matchup at ECSU. What was your feelings like when you played in that arena with all those people there?
It was a very good experience. I felt very overwhelmed, but I felt really good. I really loved the environment.
All righty. Have you been trying to talk with the younger guys on the team about what they're expecting on Friday night?
Yes, I've been telling them just go out there, play your game, and don't get too overwhelmed by the crowd because they will take you out of your game if you let them.
All right. What do you think is the biggest strides you made this year being back in Northeastern?
I think my biggest thing that I've improved on is my shooting and my leadership and becoming a better leader.
Alrighty, after how do you feel the guys have kind of bounced back after the Hereford County game?
I feel like we will do real great. We're going to surprise a lot of people this year as a team.
from a player's perspective, what do you guys learn from that game?
We learned that nothing will be given to us, and the giant can fall at any moment, and that it was a big wake-up call. But we love that experience in the game.
All right, what do you think your feeling's going to be when you go out there Friday night and see some of your old guys from Pasquotank out there? What are you anticipating?
No hard feelings, but once you step in front of me with the ball, it's war.
All right.
I know no one.
All right, what do you think is going to be important for you guys on Friday night?
To come out and play hard, because no team in the state can beat us but ourselves. So the only team that can beat us is us. So if we go out there and play our game, we're the best team in North Carolina.
You're ready to become a scholar. It's time for you to earn your bachelor's or master's degree. At Elizabeth City State University, we're proud of our strong academic programs. We offer 28 baccalaureate degrees and 4 master's degrees. ECSU also offers flexible online courses to help you achieve your goals. Start the process today. Call 800-347-3278 or find us online at ecsu.edu. Elizabeth City State University. Let us make a scholar out of you.
A lot of fun during these breaks. Maybe we should do a little pardon the interruption where we take a snippet of it. The PG's versions of it. No, we can't do that. I don't even think the PG would work. Twitter shouts.
Your tweets go here. Twitter shouts.
This is from Coach Charlie Troxell of the MACU, or Mid-Atlantic Christian women's basketball team. Team's having a good year this year. Lady Mustangs win. He's at Coach Troxell, by the way. Lady Mustangs win 67-49 over Penn State York. They're doing this 3-game swing in Pennsylvania right now. MACU's not even in class yet. They're not back in class until Monday. I mean, when they take a winter break, they don't mess around.
No, they don't.
It's a break. That's one of those breaks where I'm almost ready to go back to school. Maybe. But 8-6, I believe, Lady Mustangs record. A winning record right now could possibly finish with a winning record. Obviously, these are things that were just out of this world thoughts when the program started just 3-4 years ago. It doesn't hurt to have, once again, former Northeastern player Leah McNeil on the team. But they've only got 8 or 9 players, Malcolm. Mm-hmm. And they make it work. And there's possibly a chance that they get into that USCAA tournament. It's based on overall record, who you beat in that association, but the chance is still there. So far, a pretty strong year for Coach and the Lady Mustangs. We encourage all of you to tweet about NENC Sports. Yours might get put on the air. Just post your thoughts or questions. We'll try to answer them. Use the hashtag NENC Sports. Like I said, high schools have been pretty well shut down. Colleges, talked about MACU. MACU men will get back playing in a few days. ECSU's at Chowan on Saturday. Men's game televised on Aspire.
On Aspire TV. I think it's owned by or created by Magic Johnson. So good little bit of good exposure for both programs. But you got to think, ECSU's looking to get a win, but, Chowan's had their number the past couple of years. So
you just don't go into Murfreesboro and come out with a victor. It just doesn't happen without a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice. And if ECSU, you just need to play well. You just need to play the best you can. Because right now, it's the men's program is in a tough situation.
Yeah.
Just all the way around. The women, we've seen life. Mm-hmm. Jalen Brown, though, coming back would make a huge difference, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think she's been out the last couple games. I think she had an infection on her non-shooting elbow. So if they can get her back, Chowan's a good team. I think last year they were in the Atlantic Regional for the NCAA tournament. If they can get her back, that puts a big boost into their offense.
I'll tell you somebody that might work at Elizabeth City State, Big Corey Jackson.
Barlow? Doing what?
I wanted to throw it to you. I just want to get you in the conversation. That was my way of doing it.
Corey Jackson would be great to, come down here and get a job any day of the week. So, I don't think this is on his radar for schools.
What is on Big Corey's radar?
Right now, we don't know. He's still kind of in limbo and trying to figure out what he wants to do. If it's going to be a traditional school or if it's going to be a trade school. He doesn't know how much time he's got left in sports either. I mean, just because you're 6'6" and 290 pounds doesn't mean everybody wants you. There are some schools that have shown some interest, but some of those schools might be a little difficult for him to qualify, just academically for him.
And like, I hope more student athletes are figuring out, and at school you got to have the fit for the academics too. Yeah. Some, I do think, try to rush into it to go to a school just because of sports. On the flip side, I've seen cases where a kid probably wouldn't go to college at all if it wasn't for a sport at that school. So I don't want to knock the idea that you go to a school just for a sport. You could end up, it could fit, and then you have a degree when you might not have gone after all.
Now, my whole thing is you just got to find something that works for you, regardless of what your situation is. If, you're going to go to a school because the only avenue you have is to play a sport there, then while you're there, find something you like. Don't just go there and just play the sport. And the vice versa, if you're given an opportunity but you don't know what you're going to do, just take advantage of everything. Some people don't go to college at all. Just take advantage of whatever you get.
Northeastern Pasquotank girls on Friday, Malcolm. What are some things to look for?
Maya Simpson, Daisy Williams, they've been, pretty much the catalyst for the Lady Panthers this year. Had a lot of success up in Virginia over the Christmas break at the tournament. I think they won it, and both of them were on the all-tournament team. Picked up a win against First Flight last week. I feel like this team's kind of coming together, and I think they may have enough to try to slow down Brianna Proctor. She's going to get her stats, but can you contain everybody else around her?
I think that could be possible. I mean, Pasquotank beat Northeastern twice last year with Aaliyah McNeil.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think we've seen so far Northeastern really – we knew Northeastern was going to miss Aaliyah McNeil. Mm-hmm. They really miss Aaliyah McNeil.
The one thing that I'll say about our girls basketball team, it's probably the only time that we've gotten better, by the whole subtraction of a piece. Jasmine Jones no longer being in our program really kind of let us some of our girls kind of turn loose and really showcase what their skills are. Obviously we saw what some of our girls could do, but now you're getting a little bit more well-rounded basketball team. And Malcolm said it, they're starting to come together really quickly too.
Yeah. And hoping obviously 2017 is a good year for the conference as well. Bertie's ranked number 1, the girls in 2A for the NC Preps poll. I realize it's just a poll and it's early, but Bertie the last couple of years, no matter who the coach has been, has continually shown that they can make at least third-round runs and maybe get to that next level. If there's one team that can slow Bertie down, would it be Curry Tuck?
You got to think so.
I think they've lost to Bertie once already, but
yeah, you got to think. I mean, with Coach Mac Dixon, he's very particular about that offense, and they'll move the ball around, and they'll take as much time as they can to get the right shot. And you got to think that if they're going to try to make Bertie not play their type of game, that's what they're going to have to do when they do meet up again.
Yeah, Matt Dixon would hate a shot clock. Not his friend.
Yeah, Matt Dixon would probably stop coaching around here for the shot clock. So,
but I don't want that.
Right.
That's not a good thing.
Matt's a good coach, and he does the right things, and he has the ability to get his girls to pay attention in detail, which a lot of girls coaches don't spend their time on. So, I mean, they do the little things really, really well. Some of the bigger things, not so well, but the little things that count and add up, they do really well.
And early in the season, he had some injuries to deal with.
Yep.
To get through that and to be, I believe, 9-4 right now.
Yep.
Still in good position to finish at least once again second in the conference when he took over the program. And I know we've said this on the show a few times. It was not a good look. And he has very quickly realized he's got a group of girls that are just athletes, none that are necessarily just particularly basketball players. But he gets them to come together anyway and to enjoy basketball. And he understands that. He doesn't try to push too much of just basketball. And at this level, we can't. 1A and 2A level, you've got to allow these kids to play other sports. And, I would say that at 3A and 4A schools. They need all the athletes to play at least one other sport.
Every athlete needs to be a well-rounded athlete. I mean, every college is looking for a kid who's branched out and dabbled in other things anyway, regardless of its athletics or, the art world, whatever it may be. So anytime we're dealing with, a school that has 800 kids, obviously we're sharing. So, and it's good for the kids too. I mean, football makes our kids tougher on the basketball court, and obviously that leads into other sports too. So,
and back to the conference talk, we saw where one team got a state championship, another one, Eatonton football, got to a state final. Will there be a team in 2017 that could at least get to a state championship and or win one? And anything that comes to mind from the winter, spring, and then next fall, calendar year?
I think Eatonton baseball is going to be highly competitive. I mean, they are every year, but they had some really good pieces that are coming back this year.
Almost everybody back.
Yeah. So, and they were really good last year. So they're going to make a pretty strong run baseball wise. And I actually go to their games just to watch them since I'm not coaching baseball anymore. Outside of that, I think Northeastern is a little bit talented in basketball. The boys section, they're going to go deep into the playoffs as they do every year. And it's just about finding the stride at the right time for them and playing well at the right time. And staying away from the injury bug too, because I think they would have had a little bit different outlook if Trey didn't hurt his foot last year. So, there's a lot of factors going along with that. So there are a couple of teams that could make some waves.
Malcolm.
I think Currituck softball. I mean, this is a team that, pretty much dominated last spring and, ran into a very good, I believe, Washington team in the second or third round. But I think they've got the potential. They got a lot of girls coming back, so I'll look out for Currituck softball.
Yeah, and it could very well be Karen Booker's last year's coach for Currituck. I know she talks that every couple of years, and you kind of go, okay, coach, you'll be back. This might be because she does have that core group of seniors like Jessie Wilton, Lindsay Likens, even some good players that are juniors like Jessica Smith. So, I mean, she's got a great core this year.
Yeah.
And I've got to believe they'll get past the third round because, like you said, they are that good. I'm going to throw another one in the mix, Women's softball.
Okay.
And they've been to the fourth round the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And they've gotten there with young players, Caitlin Christian, McCrae Knapp, and obviously some good upperclassmen too, but your core, your battery's been there. Right. And they're just going to be juniors this year. Princeton has taken them out each year in the fourth round, but they had a core group of girls graduate. Does that give Women's the opening to possibly get to that state championship? I mean, it's there.
You got to think so.
And Women's love some softball.
Yeah. I got one other thing too, and I'd feel like I have to say it. But we're kind of looking past, some of the winter sports. We think about basketball, obviously my basketball coach, but wrestling, First Flight's got a kid who is probably going to, win another individual state championship.
Jeremiah Derby.
Yeah. And I think Pasquotank's got a couple kids that, can be really competitive too with Anthony Bonner, and then also the Bass Knight kid that came over from Northeastern for us. So, wrestling's got some kids in our conference that are really, really good and have a really good chance to make some waves.
Yeah. First Flight won.
Yeah.
The state title at the individual championship.
Yep.
It's a little tricky.
Wrestling's weird. Duels and then
it wasn't a dual team championship, but when you had 3 or 4 state champions that First Flight had in wrestling, you're going to get the points in a hurry to do that. Carlos Martinez was another guy who won a state title who's back for the Nighthawks as well. So individually, First Flight has those pieces to do that again. I don't know as a dual teams, they've taken a few losses.
Yeah, I think conference-wise, all of us are kind of like that. We have a bunch of kids that stand out. I mean, Northeastern's got a kid that's pretty young, but he's a great wrestler. Eaton's got a couple kids, Hereford County. So, I mean, there's a lot of kids that are in our conference with their particular weight class that have a chance to win the individual state title.
Yeah.
So,
and we got a chance, guys. 2, 3, 4 teams, and obviously First Flight boys soccer.
Yes.
I mean, that's like the elephant in the room, maybe. Yeah. I don't know that.
Well, I mean, they breed soccer players. At some point they're like the Alabama of the area. We don't want to talk about them because
I said elephant.
Yeah, I know. We just don't. We don't want to always see that. I mean, do we? But I mean, we do because they're our area,
right?
But I'd like to see somebody.
You talking about someone from the conference? Compete.
Play well. I mean, Northeastern a couple of years ago beating them in the playoffs was amazing. So.
Yeah, I think that's been hard for First Flight to let down. It was at First Flight. But even this year, I saw First Flight at Northeastern. Northeastern had them tied at half, and Northeastern was a young team this year.
Yeah.
First Flight gets 2 goals in the second half. That's it.
Right.
But I'm watching that going, First Flight's still good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought then First Flight wasn't at that level to win a state title, but Juan Ramirez does a great job with that program every year, and then First Flight does First Flight things, and third time in 4 years he gotten the team to the championship. Right. Amazing. And then won it. We said on the show before, if there's one dynasty in the corner, it's First Flight Soccer. It ain't Northeastern football.
Yeah.
It's First Flight Soccer, and it's definitely no offense to anybody.
Yeah, we our boys soccer team, I think, scored their first goal on them, and then First Flight went on to score like 11 straight goals.
Yeah, they were not happy.
And I was like, this is y'all just chill out. Be happy you scored a goal, but chill out, watch.
Were you guys doing cartwils after the goal?
No, they didn't do a cartwheel, but they were really excited. And I was like, yeah, it's like your Super Bowl. I get it. So just watch what's going to happen, guys.
I think you shouldn't do that.
I mean, they kicked the ball, and it was like a cross, and then a goal, and I was like, now they're going to set up and do it again. Just watch.
Well, soccer's that kind of sport where you can dominate and lose.
Yeah.
Where you can have about 30 shots on goal and you're just not hitting, and one guy gets the right shot in for the other team and you lose 1-0. It can happen.
Oh, yeah.
It just wasn't going to that day, I guess.
No.
Oh, this has been fun, hasn't it?
Yep.
This has been fun. We got to close it up, though, at some point. But remember to follow us on Twitter at NENC Sports, ONOBX.
I'm at Malcolm_Shields.
Coach.
P-Tank B-Ball.
For the latest sports updates, as well as pick up a copy of the Daily Advance newspaper. We almost always go beyond our radio time. So go to YouTube if you're not on YouTube already. Search for either WRVS 89.9 or NENC Sports. One last thing. Winner for Pasquotank Northeastern boys.
I'm going to go with Northeastern.
I'm going to go with Northeastern.
I'm going to go with a fight. We're going to see what we can do.
Go with a fight?
Yeah, we're going to go and play hard. So, I mean, that's what we do every game. So we'll see how we can scrap this one together, and hopefully our game plan works a little bit.
For Owen Hassel, Malcolm Shields, Pasquotank boys basketball coach and athletic director Michael Barlow, it's the NENC, and don't you see, athletes live here.
NENC Sports Radio Show is produced at the WRVS-FM studios on the campus of Elizabeth City State University.